Hello, students. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your online class. For our revision today, we will take up lesson 2.2, 3 questions. This lesson is a simple story, a parable rather, which gives us some valuable and important lessons to learn for life. The popular story, Three Questions, was written by renowned Russian author Leo Tolstoy. In the story, Tolstoy tries to explore the answers to some questions which have puzzled man since time immemorial. Let us see if Tolstoy's answers can make our lives less complicated, simpler, and more peaceful. Let's read the story. Once, a certain king had an idea. If he always knew the right time to begin everything, if he knew who were the right people to listen to and who to avoid, and the most important thing to do, he would never fail at anything that he would undertake. Since he was convinced that he was right in thinking this way, he had a proclamation made in his kingdom. A proclamation is an announcement or a declaration. What was the proclamation? He would give a great reward to anyone who would teach him what the right time was for every action, who the most necessary people were, and how he might know the most important thing to do. So here we are presented with the three questions that the king was seeking answers to. What were the three questions? Question 1. What was the most important time? Question 2. Who were the most necessary people? And question 3. What was the most important thing to do? Many learned people came to the court, but they all gave different answers in reply to the first question. Some said that to know the right time for every action, one must draw up or prepare in advance a table of days, months, and years, that is, a timetable, and must live strictly according to it. Others declared that it was impossible to decide beforehand the right time for every action, but that, not letting oneself be absorbed in idle pastimes, one should always attend to all that was going on and then do that which was most essential. Yet others said that it was impossible for one man to decide correctly the right time for every action, and that the king should instead have a council of wise people who would help him to fix the proper time for everything. In this way, many learned people attempted to answer the first question, which was, what is the most important time? Some said that making a timetable would help one to know the right time. But this would not help one to know if the time is right for a particular task. Others decided that it was impossible to decide the most important time. So one must never indulge in any leisure but keep working all the time so that the right moment doesn't slip by. Or a council of wise people would have to be appointed to fix the proper time for everything. Obviously, the answers did not satisfy the king. Let us see whether the king was able to find answers to the two remaining questions. Equally varied were the answers to the second question. Some said the people the king most needed were his counselors. Others the priests. Others said doctors, while some said the warriors were the most necessary. They were not able to agree on one answer. To the third question about what was the most important occupation, some replied that the most important thing in the world was science. Others said it was skill in warfare, and others again that it was religious worship. Although the answers were right in their own way, they could not satisfy the king. The king was convinced by none of these answers and gave the reward to none. He decided instead to go to a hermit who was widely renowned for his wisdom. A hermit is a wise man or a sage who lives away from society deep in the forest or in the mountains. This hermit was very famous for his wisdom. He lived in a small hut in a forest which he never left. He spoke only to common folk. So the king put on simple clothes and, approaching the hermit's cell, dismounted or got off his horse and left his bodyguard behind. We see that the hermit refused to meet people who were rich and influential. What could be the reason? Perhaps he felt that they were too full of pride to accept his answers. So the king left behind his crown, his rich clothing, and even his soldiers and went to the hermit disguised as a common man. Do you think the hermit will recognize the king? Here are the varied answers which puzzled the king and made him decide to go and see the hermit and seek answers to his questions. When the king arrived, the hermit was digging the ground in front of his hut. He greeted the king but went on digging. The hermit was frail and weak, and each time he struck the ground with the spade and turned over a little earth, he breathed heavily. The king went up to him and said, "I have come to you, wise hermit, to ask you to answer 3 questions. How can I learn to do the right thing at the right time? Who are the people I most need? And to whom should I therefore pay most attention? And what affairs are the most important and need my first attention?" The hermit listened to the king but said nothing. He just spat on his hand, perhaps to relieve the soreness or to get a better grip on the spade, and resumed digging. The king watched in silence for a while. Then, feeling sorry for the hermit, he said, "You are tired. Let me take the spade and work a while for you." The hermit silently handed over the spade and sat down on the ground. When he had dug 2 beds or 2 patches of earth, the king stopped and repeated his questions. The hermit again gave no answer, but rose, stretched out his hand for the spade, and said, "Now rest a while and let me work a bit." But the king did not give him the spade and continued to dig. What a strange way for the hermit to behave! Or was he simply checking the king's patience and preparing his mind to accept the answers? Were the answers hidden in the hermit's silence? 1 hour passed, and another. The sun began to sink behind the trees, and the king at last stuck the spade into the ground and said, "I came to you, wise one, for an answer to my questions. If you can give me none, please say so, and I will go home." Perhaps the hermit realized that the king had come to the end of his patience. "Here comes someone running," said the hermit. "Let us see who it is." The king turned round and saw a bearded man come running out of the forest. The man held his hands pressed against his stomach, and blood was flowing from under them. When he reached the king, he fainted and fell to the ground, moaning feebly as though in great pain. The king and the hermit unfastened or untied the man's clothing. There was a large wound in his stomach. The king washed it as well as he could and bandaged it with his handkerchief and a towel the hermit had. But the blood would not stop flowing, and the king again and again removed the bandage soaked with warm blood and washed and rebandaged the wound. When at last the blood stopped flowing, the man revived or came to consciousness and asked for something to drink. The king brought some fresh water and gave it to him. A strange and unexpected incident took place near the hermit's hut. A badly wounded man arrived there and was taken care of by the hermit and the king. The king's actions show that he was indeed kind and humble. Meanwhile, the sun had set and it had become cool. So the king, with the hermit's help, carried the wounded man into the hut. The man lay there quietly with his eyes closed. By now, the king was so tired after his walk and the work he had done that he lay down himself and also fell asleep. When he awoke in the morning, it took him some time to remember where he was and who was the strange bearded man lying by his side and gazing intently at him. The wounded man was looking attentively at the sleeping king and was thinking deeply about something. "Forgive me," said the bearded man in a weak voice, when he saw that the king was awake and was looking at him. "I do not know you, and I have nothing to forgive you for," said the king. The king was quite surprised. "You do not know me, but I know you. I am that enemy of yours who swore to revenge himself on you because you executed his brother and seized his property." The king had put the bearded man's brother to death and had confiscated all his property by force. Perhaps the brother had committed an unforgivable crime, and the king had to do justice to the one who was wronged. "I knew you had gone alone to see the hermit, and I resolved to kill you on your way back. But the day passed and you did not return. So I came out of my ambush or hiding place to find you. Your bodyguards recognized me and wounded me. I escaped from them, but would have bled to death had you not dressed or bandaged my wound. I wished to kill you, but you have saved my life. Now, if I live, and if you wish it, I'll serve you all my life." The wounded man realized his folly and surrendered himself to the king's mercy and service. The king was very glad to have made peace with an enemy so easily and to have gained him for a friend. He not only forgave him, but said that he would send his men and his own physician or doctor to attend to him. The king then took leave of him and went out of the hut to look for the hermit. Before going away, he wished once more to beg for an answer to the questions he had asked. Would the hermit finally answer the king? Let us see. The hermit was outside, on his knees, sowing seeds in the beds that had been dug the day before. The king approached him and said, "For the last time, I pray you to answer my questions, wise man." "You have already been answered," said the hermit, still crouching or bending on his thin legs, and looking up at the king, who stood beside him. The king was surely most surprised. "What do you mean?" asked the king. "Do you not see?" replied the hermit. "If you'd not pitied my weakness yesterday and stayed to dig these beds for me, you would have gone back and been killed by that man. So the most important time was when you were digging the beds, and I was the most important man, and to do me good was your most important business. Afterwards, the most important time was when you were attending to that man. For if you'd not bound his wounds, he would have died without having made peace with you. So, he was the most important man, and what you did for him was your most important business. Remember then, there is only one time that is important. Now. It is the most important time because it's the only time when we have any power. The most necessary person is the one with whom you are, for you do not know whether you will ever have dealings with anyone else. And the most important thing is to do this person good, because for that purpose alone were you sent into this life. Yes, the hermit finally enlightened the king. We do not know whether the hermit knew beforehand about the king's arrival and about the ambush by his enemy. But he did answer the most perplexing questions of life in the most simple way. According to the hermit, the most important time is the present. The most important person is the one whom you are with at present. And the most important task is to do good to the person you are with. Do you agree? Students, please go through the Word document posted below for the notes of this lesson. Thank you.